Good morning. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Moises Sanchez. I am part of the Economic Awareness Council. Specifically, I am Bank on Chicago Assistant Manager. My colleague Tracy Frizzell will join us later today. She's the Executive Director of the Economic Awareness Council, or EAC. She kind of helps oversee a lot of the different projects that we are a part of. However, today, as you can see there, I will be addressing the financial capability needs, the financial literacy needs of first-generation college students, and what we've been doing in the Chicagoland area to kind of help address these financial needs. To begin, I do want to get started and mention that we partner with the City Colleges of Chicago. Throughout this presentation and going forward, I might refer them to as CCC, but we have been partnering with them for the most recent 3 or 4 years. I believe we began working with them back in 2022, where we conduct financial literacy workshops as well as financial coaching to their students. The financial literacy workshops can include workshops like banking, building credit, insurance, investing, financial aid, a wide range of different financial literacy topics. But before I get too deep into that material, I first want to cover a little bit more about what we do beforehand. As you can see there, we conduct student surveys. This is our 3rd year conducting this student survey. So you may see some comparison throughout this presentation. I want to take the first 10 or so minutes to kind of describe what the survey is, some of the data behind it before I get into a deeper dive of what we do at the City Colleges of Chicago. As you can see there, we distributed and conducted this survey back in fall of 2025, a little bit like a week or so into the school year, to get a better insight of the financial capability needs of these city college students. This survey was distributed to all city colleges and was remained open for 2 weeks. Within those 2 weeks, as you can see there, we had a little bit under 1,000 respondents and a representation from all colleges and age groups. For those of you who are familiar with the City Colleges of Chicago, as you can see there, Malcolm X and Harold Washington made up 50% of the respondents, with the remaining 5 schools making up the other 50%. For those of you who are unaware of city CCC campuses, these campuses are kind of located across all of Chicago. I believe there are 2 campuses located to the north side of Chicago, 2 located near the Loop downtown area, as well as 2 in the south side and 1 in the southeast side. So we have a good demographic of different neighborhoods across Chicago. And on top of this, as I go on to the next slide, you're going to see here that we also had a good representation of all age groups. Roughly 60% of the respondents were your typical college age students between the ages of 18 to 29, with the other 40% being 30 and over, and our smallest representation of respondents being roughly 6% of the respondents being 50 years or older. So again, we kind of captured a good range of different neighborhoods across Chicago, as well as a different range of age groups across Chicago as well. But now I want to head into kind of a deeper dive of what we were asking the students, as well as some of the data that really stuck out to us that we kind of want to emphasize and kind of focus on for this presentation, as well as this school year. As you can see, the first thing that I want to get started with is the banking population, specifically the checking account population. As we can see there is a good amount of city college students who completed the survey that are banked. Roughly 91% of the 1,000 respondents were already banked, which is a high percentage. As you can see there, it is roughly 4% less than the overall comparison of the Chicago population, as well as roughly 5% less than the national percentage. So overall, a really good banking population, with only 9% being unbanked. And of the students who did have a banking account, so of the students of the 91%, 84% of them utilized direct deposit, which was significantly higher than our previous years, back in 2024 being 78% and 2023 being 62%. This is something that we really focused on throughout our 3 or 4 years that we've been partnering with CCC. We've been creating different financial literacy workshops, one specifically being banking, bringing the importance of banking, bringing not only the importance of banking, but as well as different tools that they could utilize in order to become more financially literate. As you can see here, this school year and the previous school year, we really focused on direct deposit. What is direct deposit, how you can utilize it, and it kind of showcases here in this survey. However, kind of a little bit of a something that we noticed with the bank population, roughly 55% of the students paid some type of banking fee, whether it was a monthly maintenance fee, overdraft protection fee, non-sufficient fund, non-ATM, low balance fee. This was a lot higher. Actually, this was actually a little bit lower than 2024, but it was a lot higher than what we expected. This roughly was 400 or 500 students who paid some type of banking fee. And I will get a little bit more into this towards the end of today's presentation. But this is something that Bank on Chicago and Bank on National and Bank on Illinois kind of focuses on, bringing low cost affordable bank accounts so they don't pay unnecessary fees. So this is something that we are focusing on this school year and heading into next school year, letting these students know and a lot of Chicago residents know that there are low cost affordable bank accounts so you could kind of avoid these unnecessary fees. On the bright side, as you can see there in the last bullet point, of the 9% of students who were unbanked, 50% of them wanted to learn more about banking. They wanted to know what to look for in a bank account, where to go to get a bank account, how to open up a bank account. So again, this is something that we focused on this school year for the 25-26 school year. We actually brought banking partners to help these students get a bank account if they were interested in getting a checking account, asking the bankers in case they had any questions about the bank account. Overall, a lot of the students really enjoyed these workshops, and a lot of the students took advantage of having different volunteers, different professionals from these financial institutions to ask them any questions that they may have about a checking account. Going a little forward, talking a little bit more about the banking population, something that has become really popular, especially in most recent years, are the cash sharing apps or the fintech cash transfer apps. These cash sharing apps are your Venmo, your Zelle, your Cash App, your PayPal, all those different types of fintech cash transfer apps. As you can see there, Zelle and Cash App were the most popular, but of the 91% of bank students, as you can see there, 95% of these students utilize some type of cash transfer app, whether it was Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, etc. However, as you can see on the right-hand side, of those students, only 30% believe that their money in that account was insured, with the remaining 70% believing that their money was not insured. So again, this is something that we focused on, especially as these cash sharing apps have become really popular in most recent years. We just want to bring a little bit more awareness of kind of the benefits and the cons of those cash sharing apps. Going into the unbanked population, so that 9% of students that did not have a checking account, as we can see here, 80% of them did utilize some type of cash transfer app. And the alarming part is a lot of these students kind of utilize these cash sharing apps as their traditional bank account. They usually just keep their money in there, let their funds grow, and utilize that as their checking account. So again, this is something that we wanted to bring awareness of. And very similar to the previous slide, only 14% of them believe that their money in that cash transfer app was insured, which is really alarming as 80% of them did utilize that cash transfer app. So again, this is something that we're focusing on for this school year, as well as going into next school year, kind of just bringing awareness of those cash transfer apps. Next, I want to take some time talking about our savings account population. As you can see here, 67% of the students with the bank account have some type of savings account. We also wanted to know what the students were saving for. The number one thing a lot of the students were saving for was for an emergency. They were building up their emergency savings, which is really good, right? Because experts typically recommend you build 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses. So it's really good to know that college students are prioritizing that emergency savings, building that up in case anything ever happens. Of the 91% of students that are banked, 63% of banked students have a separate savings account, which is really good. It's actually up from 2024 as well as 2023. Before, I believe in 2023, it was roughly 50% of banked students had a separate savings account. So again, this is just something that we're trying to bring awareness of for this school year. So these first generation college students become more financial capable, as well as financial literate. Lastly, 56% of the students do not believe that they will be able to handle a $500 emergency expense with their savings, and this is actually up 5%. So again, this is just something that we're focusing on for this school year, hosting savings workshops as well as budgeting workshops to hopefully get these numbers up. Here are more savings statistics. A lot of it is kind of reiterated from the previous slide. So again, 63% of students have a separate savings account, with roughly 40% not having a separate savings account and just utilizing their checking account to save. However, on the good note, savings has increased from 2024 by 5%. However, we asked the students that did not have a savings account why they did not have a savings account. And as you can see there, roughly 50% of them did not have a savings account because they believe that they did not have enough money to open up a savings account. So this is a very common misconception that we're trying to focus on again this school year. So these students who are just saving in their checking account have the benefit of having a savings account, get the interest, utilizing split pay to put money in their savings account. So they're automatically saving. Again, overall, just bringing awareness to this. And as you can see here, 46% of the students who completed the survey know what a high yield savings account is. And as you can see there, this is up from 2024 by roughly 8%. Heading into our next category, something that we really wanted to focus on was budgeting. This was a huge concern for college students. But as you can see here, only 45% of students utilize a budget. What could kind of attribute to the second statistic, as we can see there, 22% of students, only 22% of students never skip on a basic living expense. As you can see there, a basic living expense could be food, personal items, school costs, due to not having enough funds. And this actually has increased by 6%, which is a good thing. But again, something that we're trying to focus on and encourage these students is to kind of create a budget. So hopefully that 22% increases next year, so more students never have to skip out on basic living expense. However, what could really contribute to this and what a lot of people may kind of infer to is, as you can see there, only 45% of students who completed the survey have some type of consistent income. And this is something that we also focus on in this next bullet point right here. Variable income and inconsistent income can be a challenge for these college students. And we understand that, which is why some of this data could be leading towards one direction. However, on a bright note, as you can see there, consistent income went up 6% and surprise expenses also went down 4%. During the survey, we asked the students if there has been any big costs that have come up that they were unprepared for. And as you can see there, only 22% of the respondents believed that they were prepared for or did not have any kind of unsurprised expense come up. Heading into our next section with credit, as you can see there, 31.5% of the respondents have not started to build credit. And of these students with credit, 47.5% did not know what their credit utilization was. So this was somewhat concerning, right? This is something that we focused on, as credit utilization does play a part into your credit score. So we wanted to bring awareness that this does play a huge impact, as well as our next bullet point. As we can see there, 44.7% always paid their credit card bill on time. So over 50% of the respondents did not pay their credit card bill on time, which could, again, impact their credit score, which is why we hosted these different financial literacy workshops to hopefully bring awareness to these credit concerns that we noticed. On the bright note, as you can see there, that statistic is actually up 5.7% from a previous year. So again, overall, just improving throughout the school years. Another area that we kind of felt a concern of was that 21.8% of the respondents have never checked their credit report. Even if the student did not have credit, or if they did have credit, 20% did not check the credit report, which is concerning because, again, there could be something on their credit report that they could be unaware of. It could be affecting them, and they just don't know because they haven't checked their credit report. So again, this is something that we've been focusing on, and as you can see there, this is down by 5% and has decreased since 2023. Heading to our next section, this covers a little bit more about college and finance. As you can see there, of students planning to transfer to a four-year college or university, only 22.5% were confident in their ability to pay for the cost of the four-year institution. And on top of this, while less than 5% of CCC students need to take out student loans to pay for their coursework, of the students with loans, 74.5% reported that they knew if their loans were subsidized or unsubsidized, which is a really positive note because, as you can see here, it is up 30% since 2024. Back in 2024, only 44% of the students knew if their loans were unsubsidized or subsidized, which is why we made a huge push last school year to kind of talk a little bit more about financial aid, letting the students know what the difference is between subsidized and unsubsidized student loan. Next section is a little bit more tax and general financial confidence concerns that we noticed. As we can see here, a majority of students, 54% of the respondents, knew how much money they pay for taxes, and this is actually up 8% from 2024. This was actually a huge push that we did this school year. We partnered with the ladder of VitaSite in order to kind of bring more awareness of that free tax prep that these students could take advantage of, and that kind of takes into consideration that second bullet point where 75% of students do not know where they can get their taxes done for free at City College. Again, this is down by 11% since 2024. But again, just partnering with the ladder of VitaSite to hopefully bring the statistics to a more positive note. Only 41% of students knew the steps to take and/or resources to reach out to in case their identity was compromised. Again, this has to do a little bit more with credit, bringing kind of more awareness, letting the students know that they could pull their credit report at least once per year for free. So again, just having these different financial literacy workshops throughout the school year. Lastly, 17% of students are very confident in their ability to handle a financial pressure, which is actually up 4% from 2024. Heading into our next section, this kind of has to do a little bit more with financial aid. Award letters matter. So these are just kind of different concerns that we noticed throughout our survey that we made sure to focus on for this school year for the financial literacy workshops. But as you can see here, students need help in assessing the true cost of college. So again, we've been partnering with a lot of the CCC campuses to kind of help address this concern that we noticed during the survey. On top of this, cost does not need to be the only factor in college choice, but for most college students, it is a factor. As we can see here, the average college student now graduates with over $30,000 in debt. Again, some more concerns that we noticed, helping students understand the difference between grants and scholarships versus loans, as well as helping the students understand the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized loans. As we can see there, 77% of the survey respondents did not know the difference between a subsidized and unsubsidized loan. Another area of concern that we noticed, a lot of the students didn't really know about work study, right? So flagging the need to secure a position on campus, as well as helping students estimate the total loan repayment costs, because as we can see here, 71% of the respondents did not know. Lastly, warn students about any unmet needs. That kind of concludes a very brief look at our survey. Again, we basically take that survey, we conduct that survey every fall just to get a better understanding of what we should focus on for this school year. Now, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about what we actually do during the school year in order to kind of help address those financial capability needs, financial literacy needs of those college students. As I briefly mentioned in the very beginning of my presentation, our primary work with the city colleges of Chicago is hosting financial literacy workshops. These financial literacy workshops vary in topic. We focus on banking, saving, budgeting, credit, but as well as we ask the students what they really want to know about. So this year we added more about insurance as well as homeownership, talking a little bit more about taxes. Again, we really want to tailor these financial literacy workshops to what the students want and need. However, as you can see here, as of right now, we've had 1,100 students attend these workshops. And of those students, we also give the opportunity to the students to sign up for a free 30-minute one-on-one coaching session. It's completely optional to the student. They don't have to do it, but we do offer this coaching session because we understand that students prefer to kind of meet one-on-one with somebody and ask any questions that they may have, any budgeting concerns, any banking concerns, savings concerns. But as you can see there, a total of 575 students completed coaching. Something unique and something amazing that these CCC students have, this amazing opportunity, is if a city college student completes a workshop and then completes a coaching session, they're actually eligible for a $100 incentive for completing a workshop and coaching session. And as you can see here, as of right now, our total savings incentive shared is a little bit under $60,000 at $57,500 total incentive shared. Again, the school year is still going on, so we're more likely see an increase in total workshop impact as well as coaching, as well as intensive shared. But as you can see here, these City College students are really taking advantage of this amazing opportunity, not only to learn more about their financial literacy needs, but on top of that, get some type of incentive for them. Going forward, I do want to talk a little bit more about our impact in terms of financial capability workshop. But as we can see here, we conducted a post-test or post-workshop survey just to get a better understanding if the students enjoy these workshops, if they like it, what do they think about it. And as you can see here, just based on these percentages, overall feedback was really, really positive. There was a 100% agreement that the students who attended the workshop felt that they can use what they learned in the future. On top of this, there was a 99% agreement on the following statements: that the students felt that they learned about at least one community or college resource that they could reach out to in case they need it, as well as they felt more confident in their ability to manage their money. So overall, workshop feedback was really positive, as well as was the coaching session. Heading a little bit more into the data that we collected so far. Again, as I mentioned, we conducted a pre and post workshop survey just to test the knowledge of the students who were attending before and after the workshop session. But as you can see here, 81% of students noted that they did not have emergency savings prior to the savings workshop, but 84% of students reported that they were planning to build some type of emergency savings following the session. 65% of students who attended a budgeting session also reported that they did not have a budget, but 95% reported that they plan to create one following that workshop. From the credit building workshops, the percentage of students who knew that they could check their credit report for free at least once per year increased from 62% to 92% following the credit session. Going a little bit more towards the financial aid information, as you can see there from the financial aid workshops, 93% of eligible students were able to complete their FAFSA during the financial aid workshop. On top of this, before the financial aid workshop, 57% of students who did not know the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized grew to 91% that they did know the difference after. Again, this is just very brief data from the workshop results as of right now. Again, we mainly use that survey that I briefly went over some of the results to kind of conduct these workshops to know what we should focus on for this school year, and as well as kind of just focusing our coaching sessions towards that survey. But I believe that is the last slide covering the survey as well as some of the things that we've been doing so far at the CCC campuses. Next, we're going to transition over to some of the financial capability programming that we do with teen and young adults. But before I get into that, I just want to see if anybody has any questions on any of the data or material that I've covered.
I don't see any questions in the chat or the Q&A.
All right, thank you. All right. I think Tracy's here. I think I'll hand it over to Tracy, who's going to cover the intro to this section.
Great.
Hold on, there is a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Iana has a question. Well, she put that I have a question, but she has not asked the question. If you could put it in the chat and we could address it before we transition, that would be very helpful. Iana, if you can type the question in the chat or in the Q&A.
Great. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and start with an intro while we're waiting. So my name is Tracy Frizzell. I work with Moises, and I'm going to be speaking about the resources that we have that you all could use. We're very interested in working with other schools and supporting both high schools and colleges who may want to start an applied financial education and or coaching program like this. And I know Ayana had a question about FAFSA. Anything more specifically? Oh, where to get help filling the FAFSA out, I think is perhaps the question. And great. Okay, awesome. So in our pilot with this program and in all our programs, we really lean on two things. One is the financial aid advising team at the actual schools. So we are partnered with the City Colleges of Chicago We actually train work study students there within the financial aid office to do more holistic financial capability program with the students. But through that, we work really closely with the office, and we can refer to the office itself for FAFSA filing support. So that's kind of our first line, is to, of course, go through the student's office in this particular case, since they're already at City Colleges of Chicago. But both in this case and definitely with our high schools, we lean on ISAC for help in doing the FAFSA. And I really have to give a huge shout out to ISAC in this case, working with the core members, either through in-person events or referring to the ISAC student portal core member website, or to the new online calendar system to make appointments for students to get one-on-one support with completing their FAFSA, has been absolutely essential for this program with City College's students, as well as with the high schools we work with, and as well as with the program that we do with Youth in the Care of Illinois DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, throughout the entire state. So I hope that helps. Moises could probably pull some of the links of where we refer to exactly to ISAC to find that core member support from our resource list. But it is one of the one-on-one type of supports that Moises was talking about when he said that all of the, not all, but like over 90% of the students said that they got a one-on-one referral following their coaching meeting. If they say they need help with financial aid at all, definitely with the FAFSA, we'll refer them on over to the ISAC core members. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have more questions. And yeah, we'll go to this next slide, sample programming that we have available. And this is just such an important topic, because we know this is one of the most common reasons that students are not successful with completing college. It's just really, really important to cover, in addition to things like the FAFSA. So one other thing that we didn't go into the results to in as much detail is that we've been doing training with the financial aid representatives at the City Colleges financial aid offices to provide them with support in how to help their students with creating a budget, making sure their students are banked. If the students are in any sort of difficulty related to credit or have questions, things like that, we provide those advisors as well with a wealth of resources to where they can refer the students for a more holistic financial capability support system. And those meetings have been extremely popular as well. So what do we go through in those meetings? We can go to the next slide. One of the things is we definitely go through, I think budgeting is the first thing. Let's see, sorry, the slides are just a little stuck. There we go. Oh, money management in college. So both budgeting and savings. So one of the things that the financial aid officers or our coaches go through with the students is creating their own budget. And we'll go through in a minute several tools that we have to make that easier for students. But we also really prioritize the students setting aside some emergency savings. Now, while we encourage students to start saving and try to get towards that 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses that most financial experts recommend individuals have for their emergency savings, we also know that that is not realistic for most college students. So we really encourage students to just do what they can, put aside what resources they have, whether it's, maybe they get a refund during the year, whether it's tax or financial aid, set aside some of that and draw on it if you have an emergency, whether it's they work more during the summer, put aside some of that money and have it there for emergencies. But having that fund, researchers have found, makes it much more likely that students can actually make it all the way through college to graduation. So definitely building that emergency savings to fall back on, and then creating a budget. it's essential to have that budget, have that plan of how you're balancing your income or the money coming in from financial aid, your job, work study, things like that, and your expenses. But no budget is ever perfect. You can't predict everything in life. So having that emergency savings is really key as well. And we'll talk about our partnership with financial institutions and where to put those emergency savings in a few minutes. So that's our first discussion point, typically with students and in the trainings that we do with staff. And we can go to the next slide. The second thing that we're working on then is budgeting, as we talked about. And so we try to have things be very applied in both the workshops, the resources, and the coaching meetings with students. So for example, we have individuals take a guess. How much would it cost if you bought simple fast food every day for lunch? And we actually have students guess, and just for the sake of being interactive, can have you all take a guess right now if you want in the chat. What do you think that would come to if you got a simple fast food lunch, but you did it every day for a year? As we know, many individuals, including college students, are tempted to do. I know, myself falling into this trap as well. Wow, that's a really good guess. That is a really good guess. Let's go ahead to the answer, Moises, because they are on track there with those guesses. So yeah, even more than $1,500. It's actually even more than the second guess of over $4,000. Based on our estimating, of course, it depends on where you go and how much you eat, but roughly $4,600. So when students think to themselves, oh gosh, I just can't possibly set anything aside for emergency savings, I can't possibly budget, it can be really helpful to go through with the students and try to encourage them to do an activity of tracking their spending. We can go to the next slide. We usually do a challenge with students. Sorry, we have one more guessing game. This is for a soda and a bag of chips. You can go ahead and show the response, Moises, just to keep things moving. About $2,500. So even little things add up. Going to the next slide is our activity. And this is what we really encourage students to do with their coaches. Just take a few minutes and challenge yourself to, yes, that is a lot. That's right, Olivia. Challenge yourself to try to remember whatever they purchased up to the last 5 to 10 items. So I think we actually have enough time. Let's just take 2 minutes right now to do this for yourself. I'll do it as well. Just, you can jot down if you have a piece of paper, you can take notes on your phone. Try to think of the last 5 or 10 things that you purchased, and then we'll do a little sharing out, not details of what you purchased, but just about your feelings about this exercise. So this is something we do interactively with our student workshops and in the coaching, challenging folks to track their spending. So we'll give you 1 to 2 minutes to think about your recent spending, what it was, and how much it cost. Okay, now we'll ask again for some participation. Thanks for guessing along, everybody, with the last question. This is usually really fun to be very interactive with the students. We tend to ask students, first question, how hard was it to remember, and how many items could you remember? So I know on Zoom we do a bit of a hand sharing. I don't think that's possible here on WebEx, but just curious. What were people's experiences with this? Did anybody find it hard to remember up to 5 or 10 items when they were doing this tracking spending challenge? It was, yeah, I agree, Olivia. Yeah, I could only remember a couple too, like, filling up the car and then meeting some friends out. Yes, it can be really challenging. Absolutely. So that's one of the reasons we do this activity with students, is just to challenge the students that they need to have a strategy, whether it's using their debit card for a lot of expenses and actively using their bank app to track their spending, or maybe it's even like taking notes when they get home or just saving their receipts and then going through those on a weekly basis. Creating a budget is great, but you also have to have a plan to make sure you're sticking to that budget. So some sort of tracking system is going to be really important to your financial success. So that's great. I see some comments that it was hard to remember past. Yeah, I couldn't remember hardly past like yesterday. And then you could remember 3 things. That's really good. Anybody surprised at how much things cost? I find that I these days am constantly surprised at how much things cost, whether it's going to the grocery store or eating out or filling up the car. Yes, everything adds up quickly. And, many things are more, yeah, inflation, exactly, more expensive than you think. So using these skills, one thing we encourage students is that they should feel like by doing these activities, it's actually giving them more control over their finances. So we really encourage students in the coaching sessions to set a goal for themselves and then to use these skills like budgeting, saving, and banking to help them to meet that goal. So rather than feeling like this is something the school's making them do or someone else is making them do, this is something they're deciding to do. And so it's actually this type of technique of budgeting and tracking their spending is something they're doing to get more control over their money, which is really empowering for students. And we find when framed in that manner, a lot of students are really on board with this idea. So yeah, inflation it has been so much over the last few years. So yeah, go into the next slide. That was our main budgeting activities. And then we have several online links, which we can now we're at the end put in the chat. The main one for college is collegebudgetbuilder.org. And this is a website that is specifically structured for college students. It will ask them about things that are typical for college students. So how much is your tuition? How much are your school fees? But it also has a lot of details about average living expenses for college students. And we find that really important because most of the college estimating websites where you estimate your college costs just ask about things like tuition, room and board, fees. And college students have a lot of other costs. They still need to get, clothes, toiletries. They still need transportation. They might take a trip home if they're going to college in a different location. So we give average costs for those type of expenses as well at collegebudgetbuilder.org. So if you have students in college, definitely recommend that one. If you're working with students that are working maybe before they go to college or after or over the summer in between, simplebudgets.org. That one helps them to make a more common budget where you're thinking about your income and your expenses. Both apps kind of do all the math for you. You can log in and save your work if you want to save your budget, but you don't have to. You can also keep it totally anonymous. There are a lot of good other budgeting apps out there, and it's really up to the student what they want to do. We just encourage them to do something to make a budget for themselves. Going to the next slide. With the budget, whether it's a paper-based budget or an online budget, there are several important reasons to create one: to plan for expenses, to save for future goals, or to even just develop lifelong money management skills are all really important. So budgeting is definitely a core initial skill we want to encourage with the students. Going to the next slide. Other things we're going to encourage are having a safe, affordable bank account. And I mention it that way because we really want to encourage students to avoid bank accounts or fintech products that have a number of fees or might cause the student to easily overdraw and get caught with surprise fees in those cases. So through our Bank On coalition, which is really easy to find, it's just bankonchicago.com. Through that coalition, you can find literally over 30 different accounts that have been certified as safe and affordable. So they're more easy for students to use, and they're a great place to start. Within those accounts, we encourage students to shop around because many will waive fees for students under the age of 24, but not all. So shop around, find the best account fit for you. That's awesome, Moises. Thank you. Moises is showing the screen right now. This is what the Bank On website looks like. Moises leads this coalition. You can see all of the many bank accounts that Moises has recruited and helps to keep track of their various account products. These banks also often have savings accounts. Now, these savings accounts are not regulated. They're not certified in the same way the debit products are. But knowing that these banks volunteered to have that safe, affordable debit account, they often also have good savings products too. But look for savings accounts that have lower minimums and are easier for the students to manage, ideally where they can earn interest, and definitely that are FDIC or NCUA insured. A big point of confusion lately is students and any individuals. Sometimes they get fintech products now. They have the look and feel of a bank account, but they're not fully insured in some cases. So it's really important to do your research. Make sure that especially that savings product, but even a debit product as well, has that insurance and you know your money is going to be safe. Thanks, Moises. This is perfect. So what that insurance does is it protects your money in the account up to $250,000. FDIC is for banks, NCUA is for credit unions. Either is fine. Just shop around for the best fit for you. Going to the next slide. That is the banking information we share. Again, we're going to encourage the students to look for the ability to have a debit card. Most students want mobile banking for easy access, just to be sure they're also, they want to be sure to also record all those mobile transactions and the mobile check deposit or spending in their budget as well. They want accounts that'll give them independence and convenience. Make sure if the bank is not close to you that they have a good ATM network where if you would once in a while need cash, it is easy to get it without being charged a high fee. Great, going to the next slide. This is the Bank On link. There is a link as well for Bank On Illinois. I will try during the Q&A to share it at the end. It's a little easier. It's a little harder to like type out. So we'll have to pull that. It is hosted through the comptroller's office, which is why it has that weird link. But it's the same idea. Safe, certified, affordable accounts for folks to use. And those accounts are statewide. So even if you are in Southern Illinois or you're, out by Rockford or Peoria, there are going to be banks that are in your region. Yeah, going to the next slide, just because I know we're running short on time. We'll get into some of the other common topics that students want to learn about through our program. So through our workshops and through our coaching, we partner with a number of different organizations. So we partner with, for example, the Chartered Financial Analyst Society of Chicago. We partner with a pro bono certified financial planner group called Advisors Give Back, where students can actually get, if they qualify based on income, free one-on-one financial coaching sessions. We partner with Ladder Up. So if students qualify based on income, they can get free VITA support, which is volunteer income tax assistance, so they can have their taxes done for free. We also partner with Working Credit to get free one-on-one coaching in terms of building a good credit score or repairing credit if needed. Of course, one-on-one support for financial aid, we refer to ISAC, but these are the other common topics that are really popular within our program. And so if you partner with us for your school, we can provide these types of support. And I will definitely share both of our contact information at the end in case you're interested in working with us further. But these are what we found most popular. I think you can go to the last slide, Moises, which I think wraps everything up exactly, which is great with our contact information, and want to pause and leave the last 5 minutes for if there are any questions.
There is a question in the Q&A about cash. It says, do you recommend that students use cash more than card? Like, I'm assuming the debit card or the credit card that you had mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So a big issue that we found with cash is just security. It's, just not very secure. If you lose it, if it gets stolen, then it's gone. Whereas if you get a safe, affordable banking product, like one of the bank on accounts, and you're using a debit card with it, with almost all those accounts, if you lose the debit card, you can literally click on a button in the app and you can lock it down so that your funds don't get stolen. If you have, for example, fraud or in some cases, even a theft on the account, and you report it right away, your bank or credit union is going to back you up. That just doesn't work the same way with cash. So we have found most popular and most effective with most students, just across the board, to use the debit product and to try to track it, kind of like we used to do cash in the old days. I know there are a lot of budgeting strategies about like the envelope method, and the nice thing about cash is when it's gone, it's gone. But you can use the same type of strategy with your debit account if you track it carefully, and if you have one of these accounts that doesn't have overdraft or go into the negative as easily. They try to make it really hard to go into the negative, and they don't charge those big fees if you do. So that's definitely been the approach that we find most secure and effective. Of course, eventually, many adults want to start building credit, but that's a different whole discussion, because we really encourage that the goal of that whole experience be to build a good credit score, not so much for convenience or spending or things like that. And we're happy to, again, I put our information in the chat. We're happy to have a longer conversation about that credit building strategy, our credit education resources, and partners as well. Really good question. Any other questions, or Moises, anything I forgot?
No, I don't think so. I could pull up the Bank on Illinois website. I have it here just to kind of showcase it a little bit. As Tracy mentioned, it is through the comptroller's office, but this is essentially the website. I did go, let me see if I could clear this. Yeah, as you can see here, it is located across Illinois. So if you're based in Rockford or any other city outside of the Chicagoland area, you do have this option. As you can see here, you can put zip codes in. For the sake of this, I'll just go ahead and put a zip code in downtown Chicago, so you kind of see how the zip code and map works.
Is this service free?
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware of Bank On. Oh, okay.
Yes. No, yeah. Thank you, Moises. This is great. It absolutely is. I put the link in the chat. And yes, the service is free. The accounts all have either they're free or they have a low regular fee, typically $5 or less. If it's as much as $10, that's the absolute max. They have to have multiple ways that you can get the fee waived. One of which is usually, for many of the banks, being under age 24. So if you're a more traditional college age student, you should be able to find one that is free to you. So the account is free, in addition to absolutely this website, our Bank On website, all free. And all of our services to the clients at CCC are free as well. Yeah. Great questions. And again, we're really interested in partnering with folks. If you work at a high school around the state and you're looking to get more resources, please let us know. If you work at a community college, we are specifically actively seeking new partnerships to expand the approach we've been using at CCC to other community colleges around the state of Illinois, or even nationally. We're in discussions with a couple different schools beyond the 7 city colleges system. So please reach out to us. We'd be happy to help and share resources or point you in the right direction. So yeah, thank you so much, Olivia.
No, thank you for that last point. There was a question in the opening session where someone asked about this presentation in particular, and whether or not it was specific to CCC students or if it was more across the state. So yeah, you kind of hit that and looking for other partners. So that is great.
Yes, no, we are looking to partner with other schools. Accessing this exact program right now and everything it entails is just for CCC students, but we would love to, in the future, be able to develop similar partnerships with other schools and have similar programs in other regions.
Great information. Great to know all of this.
Thank you. Thanks for having us today.